I'm Elizabeth Bird. I'm one of the senior children's librarians at New York Public Library's Children's Center at 42nd Street, and I blog at a Fuse No. 8 production on School Library Journal.
So how did this top 100 children's novels list start?
It was actually my husband's idea because he had seen it on a comic book blog talking about the top 100 comic book runs, and he kept bugging me, and he said, oh, you should really do this, you should do this on your blog, and I kept putting him off, and actually last year I did it with the picture books. And so I started a picture book poll of my readers, and I came up with the top 100 picture books of all time, and then this year I'm doing the top 100 children's novels of all time.
How are you creating this list and deciding who's 1 and who's 100?
So for the month of January, I told my readers, okay, send me your top 10 children's novels and rank them. So your number 1 choice gets 10 points, your number 2 choice gets 9 points, your number 8 choice, and down. And then I tabulated all the points. So they had a month to send me their top 10 lists. By the end of the month, I tabulated all the results, and then from that point system, I came up with the top 100 with the most points. And so from the top 100 with the most points, I figured out what was going to win and what wouldn't win.
So any just general observations about the list and what you think about it and what might have gotten left off?
Sure. I mean, I think it's fascinating to look at what people did not vote for, but assumed would be on the list. So The Little Prince is nowhere on the list to be seen, and I think that's partly because people remember reading it, but they don't. It's not one of their top 10 books of all time. It's not something that's close to their heart. Likewise, no Horsey books. We didn't get any Black Stallion. We didn't get any Black Beauty. We didn't get any of those. To some extent, I was a little surprised at how many modern books there were. Certainly, there were 2 2009 books, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon and When You Reach Me, which both got a Newbery and a Newbery honor. But I think they're perfectly great books, and I was really happy to see them on the list. And to a certain extent, I was surprised at how many individual Harry Potters made it onto the list too. All but one. I believe Half-Blood Prince did not make it to the list, but all the other ones did. And I was a little surprised that Diary of a Wimpy Kid then did not make it onto the list, but I think that I had a lot of kids vote for the list, and to a certain extent their teachers did not allow them to vote for Diary of a Wimpy Kid because they thought it was a graphic novel. So sort of there's the question of, what is a graphic novel, what's a chapter book, that sort of came up. There are problems with the list. It's not very ethnically diverse. We have a couple books on there by Christopher Paul Curtis. We've got a book by Grace Lynn, but generally speaking, it's a pretty white list, and that is the problem with this kind of poll. You can't really make it very diverse unless people are voting in a diverse way. And there was a push when I was taking the results for people to try to do more people of color on their lists, which was great. But generally speaking, it's not the perfect list in the world, I would say. It's a great list to look at, and there's a lot of really wonderful things on it, but it is not the be-all and end-all list that's out there. And that was the same case with the picture book list that I did last year as well.
So what kind of work is it taking for you to put this together and get the posts ready and all of that?
It takes at the beginning when I was counting down by 5s, and that took about 4 hours a night to get each group of 5s down. Now I'm counting down by 1s, and that is much, much, much simpler. I can usually whip out one of those in like 2 to 2.5 hours a night, which is great. Generally speaking, what I do is I go to work, I go home, and then I have my dinner, watch my TV, and then I sit down and I blog.
All right, so what is it about children's books, and why do you love them so?
I just love them partly just because there's something we all have in common to a certain extent. Children's books, everybody has read them at some point. This is what I do, and I love just children's books in general. I like reading them. I don't read that many adult books, unfortunately. I should probably read more, but honestly, I just like reading children's books. I like paying attention to the art and the writing and how they interact with the text. I like novels just because, children's novels touch on things that adult authors are trying to get at again. A lot of adult authors are trying to reach that feeling they had when they read a book when they were a child, which is why you see so many adult authors writing for kids. And I just love kids' books so much. They're just wonderful.